And a very good morning to you. We have Cunningham and Johnny Ward with us this morning, so it's going to be a good show. I can guarantee you that. We're here all the way until around about 9:30 this morning. If you want to get in touch, you can drop us a comment in the YouTube stream, or some people are still wondering if you can just listen to this as a radio show, and you can if you just go onto offtheball.com and hit play in the corner. Johnny, of course, is like, oh, do you present this show often? I'm like, yeah, 4 mornings a week, Johnny. Thanks for your support, buddy.
By the way, I don't think you can give those guarantees prior to the start of the show. This will be an amazing
you can't. You're building it up.
No,
pressure,
I can.
Indirectly, the pressure that's putting on us too as well.
Absolutely. When I was in DCU in college, I remember I wrote like what followed was an interesting tale of such and such. And the lecturer said, you can't say that. Let the reader decide if it's interesting.
We'll be the judge of that.
Exactly.
John, excellent comeback.
Cheers, Kenny.
Yeah. No, it's I'm guaranteeing a good solid 7.5 out of 10 here.
Guaranteed.
Straight away.
Mr. Dependable Dennis Irwin.
He's dropped the bar straight away to a solid.
This is like The Simpsons when Krusty guarantees them $40 for watching the show, and then you can hear in the background, not a guarantee.
I'll tell you what doesn't inspire me, Ger, that table. Plus the fact something just fell on the floor, but
the table.
Does that extend? Is there remember the old kitchen tables?
Yeah. They're
used to extend out.
Yeah, no, it doesn't extend.
Nothing at all.
You can see it in the wide shot there. Just your
glasses.
It's
even
case.
wobbling under the weight of me glasses case.
It's really
that is pure.
It's really just a comedy prop, Kenny. It's just a comedy prop. That's all. It's. Are you a man of hidden talents?
No, none.
Really,
what
none.
You see is what you get.
I don't believe that.
That's not much.
I think you're a singer, aren't you? Don't you sing? You lead sing songs.
It's in the DNA.
The Irish DNA, yeah.
What's your party piece?
No.
I'm not asking you to do it. I'm really not asking you to do it. Well, what is your party piece? Like if?
No, I wouldn't say.
Ah, come on, you leading the sing songs. The Irish football
party
team.
Piece that implies I can't wait to get up there and give it.
Even this hour of the morning.
I am a reluctant performer.
My hole. Come on.
I might make an exception though for the 2030 World Cup opening ceremony in Dublin.
Yeah.
If I'm asked to go on stage.
And if you were to sing at that, what would you be singing?
Well, I'll tell you what, that is a good question. What Irish band would you like to see if the opening ceremony was in Dublin? Obviously, jumping forward here a little bit, because this is relevant. Because when the World Cup was on in Russia this summer, the opening ceremony came on. Robbie Williams was thrown up, and for me, they got it totally wrong. The choice of songs, I just felt it was all wrong. So I'm thinking from a Dublin perspective, Irish perspective, if we got the opening ceremony in Dublin, in the Aviva, who would you throw up there? Who would you like to see up there? Worldwide
it's
audience.
too far away. Like it's 12. Whatever the band is, it probably doesn't exist at the moment.
Just go with it, John. Just go with it.
12 years.
Yeah, I throw it at you. Forget about that.
Conor have lost his voice.
Well, I was going to say, I'm trying to work out. So what age?
It can't be you two. No, forget about you two. Forget about the obvious.
Tribute act. They could get the Mockness House.
No, you can't trust him. His voice. You can't trust his voice. Even it could lose after 10 minutes.
Well, you know that it'll be like one of that younger generation of Irish acts who are out there at the moment, and they're not even that young. Like
who? You don't know.
Hosier or Picture This or something like that. Like that's what FIFA will go for, because that'll be this is an acceptable face.
We're jumping the gun a bit, aren't we?
Well, no, it's a fact. It's in the back of the papers. It's as good as it's a given.
I'd have had, the Cranberries would have been
yeah.
What a talent she was, to be fair.
Pretty perfect. I'd love to see Sinead O'Connor do it. Like
again, she'd be pretty old at that stage.
Yeah, but
but you got to get the tunes. You got to get the songs that got to really hit the.
Well, the Pogues would be the perfect an Irish-English thing.
Well, Shane MacGowan will definitely still be alive.
He's made it this far.
No.
We'd put on a great show. Show.
As long as the FAI are happy with the choice, anyway,
But who would you? Seriously, that's a good question. Right now, say the.
Now the loop, the young bands now. There was a time I had me finger on the pulse a little bit.
If it was now, it would be
it can't be you two.
Like, think about it. It's
FIFA, like the Stones
it's the
at
World
that
Cup,
stage.
It will be like the Stones, age-wise, yeah.
Come on.
I mean,
like maybe the Stones could do it.
You're joking, right? But if the World Cup was in England this year, would anybody bat an eyelid if the Rolling Stones were the act?
Probably not.
They wouldn't.
Yeah.
The only other thing that you could possibly say if it was England would be an Oasis reunion would be the thing.
Oh.
That's the first time I've ever heard that reaction from anything I've ever said in my life.
It's not going to happen though,
Oasis do it in Dublin. Yeah. With their strong Irish roots.
Yeah, bring them back.
Man and that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Man and that.
Mayo people as well.
Mayo in the news again.
For the right reasons. Yeah. Which video are we going to? Are we going to the physio? Right, so this exploded yesterday. Tommy got this in WhatsApp yesterday morning, was like, here, have a look at this. And we were like, hang on a second. And then there's the whole backstory to this. I don't know if you've seen this video yet, Kenny. But
probably not.
It's a physio making a name for himself in the middle of a club championship match. Have a look. This footage comes from Liam Mulcahy. There he is, just like, leave my lad alone, I'm giving him a bit of water there. Get out of the way. Now, so far, so no big deal. Hang on. Wait. Boom! Oh! Smack.
So nonchalant.
I know. Look, and sure, the game goes on. The game goes on around him. No big deal. Does your man kick a point? I don't know. No, the cameraman doesn't care. And the referee's coming over going, hang on a second here. So, it's not over yet. Hang on. It pans out. And is your man still on the ground? He said, Lord. Like all he was doing was trying to get the ball.
The problem here is we have the whole Kavanagh furore this weekend, and there's now a big debate about the tolerance of nonsense in GAA, which I has really annoyed me for years and years and years. This needless physical stuff that has nothing to do with skill. But then you look at that and you're like, that's a bit of crack, like, you know.
Well, I think there's different ends of like.
Well, he's shouldering some of the opposition, like he's the physio, like.
He is, but hang on, there's an explainer for it. Have a look at this. So here's Matthew Hanlon, the Wexford hurling captain. That's my club, St James GAA club. It's not clear from that video, but what actually happened is our cornerback made a run for a short kick out and was illegally blocked by the physio. As a result, the ref sent the physio to the stands. So the cornerback is just legging it to get the short kick out.
No.
Bumps into the physio.
I'm not buying that. I'm not buying that. That looked as if the cornerback went straight for the physio to put him on his back.
The physio's name is Jim Darcy. He's a former inter-county footballer. He's
obviously apparently.
Great core stability there.
Amazing.
He planted his feet.
But he saw him at the last moment and it was just like.
That's what I'm saying.
Either
just
way, he's
been
sat down by Bobby Boucher, says Brian O'Driscoll. Bobby Boucher, sorry. There you go. We may now call Jim Bobby Boucher. He will love this publicity. Little did number 2 know that our physio is 6'3", 15 stone, former inter-county midfielder, and hard as nails, says Matty Ford. So if Matty Ford's calling you hard as nails, and then Reverend Barry finishes up that one. Stop, will you? He was running for short kick out, and captain took him out. I mean, you're like trying to do the right thing on the football pitch.
The physio, if you look at it, if you break it down, the physio, he never deviated a stride pattern. He never deviated. He's running a straight line. The corner forwards come straight for him.
That's why I kind of feel a bit of sympathy for both of them. It's like your man is kind of.
I have a lot of sympathy for the corner forward. Like
he'd be going in and out off the back of that. The physio for some reason.
The physio is now like that's the type of thing that ends up on Ellen. Like you just can see next week, it's like 5 million views on YouTube. It's like whoa. Hang on a second.
Remember earlier in the year there was one of the was he umpire or what? But he was at the end of the line and he came on like, and a fella was coming through and he just shouldered him out of the way like in a hurling game, like, and just went back like very proud of what he was doing. It was very similar to that, like.
But he was a linesman or umpire.
Yeah, he wasn't playing or anything. Yeah, he was. Actually, if Tommy can find that clip, I think he probably knows the one I'm on about. Like this was all, it was viral.
We'll get it in a while. The reason.
But like having the access to like smartphones at these games, it does bring some gems, like, you know.
Yeah.
And it brings Gaelic games back in a positive footing after that Slough Neil footage where your man soloed the ball for a minute and a half and basically
4 minutes.
4 minutes. There was no pressure on the ball. And it was just like, this is where Gaelic football is going.
Blanket defence.
Wouldn't press the ball.
Yeah.
And stuff like that actually does, I think, probably lead to rule changes in its own particular way.
Yeah, well,
people look at that.
It's inevitable, surely, isn't it?
It galvanises
It galvanises, yeah.
I don't know if it's right or wrong. There's like a mob forms in the immediate after. Oh, damn it, type thing.
Yeah.
The reason I was asking about hidden talents though was because this man has a hidden talent, where we were at the we had a roadshow last Friday for Horse Racing Ireland.
Oh no!
We had a few light ales.
No.
We had a few light ales, and on the way back in,
had a few ales.
Excuse me. And on the way back into town,
pipe down, John.
On the way back into town, he's like to the taxi driver, "Oh, where are you from?" The taxi driver goes, "Bulgaria." And Johnny launches into the Bulgarian national anthem immediately, including the words. And I was like, "What?
Including the words?"
Yes, including the words.
Oh,
well, yeah.
Impromptu, and no looking it up on the phone, no kind of. How many national anthems do you know, Johnny?
I know a lot, like. So I was in Wolverhampton on...
This is your party piece. This is your party piece, clearly.
This is like, I mean, you know, in college, some of my mates were scoring women and I was looking up national anthems. I'm not well in the head, like, but, like, for example, I was in Wolverhampton.
Can you get a degree? No.
I was in Wolverhampton last weekend, and this was a moment of clarity. Or the weekend before last, this was a moment of like real self-reflection. I was in Wolverhampton on my own racecourse on a Saturday night, and the taxi driver coming back was Kurdish Iranian, and I've been to Iran a couple of times, but I not only know the Iranian national anthem, I know the Kurdish national anthem. So I was kind of like, well, but then it turns out he's basically barred from going back to Iran for political reasons. So he gave me a 5-minute kind of
a long list.
political discussion on the situation in the Kurdish part of Iran. So it was too deep a conversation to get into the trivial nature of a national anthem. But I'm very disappointed that you brought that up. Like,
oh wow! You mean I can't play the footage?
That's impressive.
You absolutely can play. The footage.
Come on!
No. Oh no.
Come on, it's amazing.
Yeah, that sounded like no, but if you really want to play it, I won't.
I was drunk.
Too
B, there has to be a B as well.
Well, we'll get to that later on. We have it ready to go. We have it ready to go. If
I haven't seen.
I've never seen John under the influence.
What I think is people. You've seen it. I sent it to you.
I didn't look at it though.
Oh, you didn't look at it?
No. Daniel McDonald sent me footage of me dancing at his wedding on WhatsApp this week, and I didn't look at that either.
Come on, you got to look.
There's no positive out of this. Like.
I think people are impressed by the fact that you know the Kurdish national anthem.
I thought you were going to say you attempted to dance, to coordinate.
Oh, Johnny, I apologise for this. Tommy made the decision himself.
Oh my God.
Do you know the words? Some of them.
What?
What a beautiful national anthem.
How?
Written by a soldier going to war.
and the details behind it. That was the other.
This is absolutely disgraceful on your part.
You look sober as a judge there, I've got to be honest with you.
Yeah, we only had.
Well, we were at the roadshow, but it's one of them things. If you lash points into you quite quickly, even though you don't have many, and the points were flowing very quickly after the race and roadshow. Really hungover on Saturday. Really hungover. Like, I didn't go mad on Friday night, but I clearly was a little bit drunk.
Low alcohol threshold. Clearly.
Wouldn't be great at the moment. Yeah.
We're getting old.
My news talk career is over, by the way.
Absolutely not. No, this is exactly the type of stuff that people want.
Do national anthem.
We'll tell you what's coming up now. We've got the sports pages. About 10 minutes late with that. We're going to talk Champions League with Kenny a little bit later on. The state of Irish football. The story that is going to come up in the papers, which we'll talk about later on, is obviously the 2030 World Cup bid, which we're now examining a feasibility study, a plan about a plan perhaps, and then we'll talk about a horse racing a little bit later on with Johnny as well, given that we have him with us here. So let's bring in the newspapers.
OTB AM.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a dedicated call centre.
We have a mix 'em gather 'em collection of newspapers this morning. I'm going to start with the Examiner here because that's the one that's right in front of me. And so the Examiner's front page is World Party. There you go. That's the World Cup. That's the Aviva Stadium. It's a brilliant Photoshop job. Unless it was actually ever here for visiting for whatever. Who are we playing in that one? The Poles, the Welsh, somebody in a white jersey anyway. Republic set to join bid for 2030 FIFA showpiece. We'll come back to that a little bit later on because I know you both have thoughts on it. Playing GAA can't be a licence for thuggery is the Jack Anderson column, which is his opinion piece there, which is I think the point that you were making earlier on about it's mad how as a sport it becomes the vehicle for expression of thuggery from thugs. That it's like, if you want to be a thug, Owen was making this point last week on the show, if you want to be a thug, you can do it within the confines of a GAA pitch and you get away with it in a way that if you do the same thing outside the chipper, you don't get away with it.
Is this more evident at club level rather than kind of inter-county stuff? Because I haven't seen a huge amount from what I watch on the
Inter-county, you get banned for 6 months.
But is there still I see the way the games are refereed now clearly over the last couple of years. It's dramatically changed the game. I would have thought that's been.
I'm interested in this. Like, so you have to be something of an authority on this because you played for Wimbledon, right? And how are these guys perceived?
I'm not sure that link.
Is it
where's the link there?
Is it okay to get away with that sort of like aggression on the pitch, but off the pitch you're kind of a decent bloke, like?
Yeah, but aggression. What are you talking about? Obviously,
Vinnie Jones.
Physical contact. Yeah, but what type of aggression are you talking about? I mean, you're talking about clocking somebody off the ball, like
mass brawls,
trying to dig, like
the acceptance,
digs off the ball, sledging, like even that. I think a lot of the talking, like in the sledging, is a lot worse than anything physical, like. You know, bringing up like having like the
girlfriend's phone number,
having a girlfriend's phone number, we'll say, in your hand and stuff like that, and a lot worse than that.
Yeah, I don't like that person myself. But at the end of the day, you know, you got to get over there. You can't be taking the bait and things like that. You know what I mean? This is all part of it. Obviously, I'd never get involved in anything like that person myself.
Look at that, you'd never heard anybody. That's your Panini sticker, circa.
Look at Angeli, should have halo over my head there.
Is that an old Lotto jersey?
Oh my God.
It is Lotto,
yeah.
I love that jersey.
Kenny, that's class.
You look Italian.
97, 98.
Reminds me of Costa Corta or something like that.
Smartened up. Might have even had a haircut for that photo.
How long were you at Wimbledon?
It's probably my longest at club level, 8 years. Yeah, but obviously John's reference, you were at Wimbledon, so you were mad stuff there, like, but in terms of like how we conducted ourselves on the pitch, I don't think we are any different to any other team in terms of, there was a physical element to the game. You know, we weren't the most easy on the eye in terms of the type of football that we played, but I'd never say there was, certainly when I played, there was never kind of a thuggish element to how we played the game.
It probably eased a bit at that stage.
Yeah, I wasn't like, I was like I've said it before, it was crazy light by the time I got to there in terms of the crazy gang. Different younger players being introduced into the squad. There's still that perception around the football club, but I never saw. But that was English football in general, like 5 years, 10 years before that.
Yeah.
That wasn't just Wimbledon. That was the way the game was played back in the day.
Vinnie Jones
tough. It was a tough game.
Like there's the footage of Vinnie Jones killing Steve McMahon in that. Like, is it 6 seconds in and he's getting booked, but he just goes in with the boot high. Yeah,
but that would have been pretty. Man, that was par for the course. Like, I'm talking back even the generation before. You look back at the like kind of 70s, late 70s, and stuff that was going on then, like, you know, mad stuff, like, you know what I mean? I'm not sure if exactly what you were talking about in terms of the guy mass brawls at times. I can understand to a point when it flares up, but if you're talking about kind of off the ball, elbow in the, I mean, that's
the sneaky stuff.
It's awful stuff.
The sneaky stuff where you land with your knees on a player and you know that you could get out of the way, but you don't, and he's done, and you're like, oh, ref, it's an accident. And the referees might be like 15 years removed from playing the game and haven't seen it or experienced it themselves.
Ger, I have to disagree with you. I think that happens, but that, for me, I'd have to be honest here. I was never a physical player. I couldn't physically intimidate anybody. I just wasn't good at it. I didn't get involved in it.
It wasn't your nature, though.
No, well, it wasn't my nature, no. But after spending a period of time in the game, you become immersed in it to a point. You know what I mean? It's a professional game. I remember once we were playing one season, we'd Spurs about 6 times during the year. We got them in a 2-legged semi-final. Ginola was playing at that time. He was a brilliant player like Ginola. He's playing left wing, I was playing right back. And we were playing at Selhurst Park, won the games. And obviously, at some point during the game, I thought, as you do, this lad's top class.
Speaking of hair now. This is hair.
Like. Exactly. But at one point, I remember during the game, there was a throw in. It came to him. We both went up for a header, and we were coming down a little bit like you said there. I could have made a better attempt as I was hitting the ground to kind of roll away to keep away from him. But I thought, well, no, there's an opportunity here, not to cause any serious damage, but put a little bit of weight on him as he hits the ground, wind him, whatever, just shake him up a bit. So I took it. So he sprawled on the ground, desperately trying to get physios on. So am I proud of it? No, but this is what you do. You know, it's a professional game. Anything to get an edge, slow somebody up.
Yeah. Anything to get an edge, though.
No, not anything. That's what I'm saying. There are parameters there. Like, I'd never engage in, like, you know, have bum, elbow in the, anything like that. Or even in terms of tackling, very rarely I'd go in a manner which I felt that I'd really endanger an opponent. Maybe once or twice in my career I can remember that, seeing the red rag a little bit, but that can happen. But generally speaking...
What caused it? Was it something from them?
No, an opposition player kind of take it out. We had a young player in the team. This was more experienced opposition player. He taken him out. The opportunity presented itself a few minutes after
Retribution is a different thing.
Yeah, so I did actually get hold of him too. He saw me coming, actually, to be fair, and actually jumped out of the way. But those moments were few and far between. But very easy for me to say, oh, that's outrageous. Yeah, we shouldn't have any time for that in the game. But I can understand it, and I can't honestly say I didn't engage in that.
There's long been too much nonsense in Gaelic games, so that, like, that off the ball stuff, shouldering when, you know, the ball is nowhere near you, like pushing lads, you know, mass brawls, fairly common, like, and I think maybe it's reached ahead to a degree.
You hope that there's a weight of events that lead people to have a serious consideration of where we are and what the parameters are, right? Because you're talking about that. You know, leaving something on somebody as you land so that they're winded is different from landing with 2 knees on their back/face so that you are trying to do as much damage as you possibly can. And it's the intent behind that, where you're hoping that you're taking that player out of the game illegally versus I just want to leave a little bit on him. Because that's the grey area.
I agree with you. I think there is a difference there, and it's finding those muddy lines, I suppose. Yeah, you're absolutely right. I don't understand, like, the Gaelic. I understand what you're talking about. I've seen that the Gaelic of late, that kind of shoulder and stuff that goes on off the ball, the camera goes away from the ball, and you see, I always think to myself, why? I mean, surely nobody's been physically intimidated. All of these Gaelic players are playing like elite level. They're absolutely focused. You know, great
5
physical
years of strength and
specimens.
conditioning behind them.
Yeah,
That's
surely.
under 17. Like,
Yeah, but surely nobody's getting the edge over anybody from a psychological point of view in terms of like bang, have some of that, and they're both at it for a few seconds. You know what I mean? It's a little bit nonsense stuff, really.
Working out testosterone. I think that might just be like I need to do this to work this out.
I remember Maurice Sheridan playing for Mayo years ago, and he was primarily a free taker, but he was a very nice kind of, I'd say he's probably a quiet guy, and he took a free against Leitrim. The free went over, and he came back to his position, and the Leitrim lad just planted him with the shoulder, and I was just like, you're a bloody idiot, like, you know. And I saw that on TV. I'm looking at Maurice Sheridan here. I have a lot more respect for Maurice Sheridan than I have for you, like.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't know why that stayed in my head, but when I was young, and the first time I encountered lads who were just doing constant stuff off the ball, I was like, you're an asshole. Like,
well,
you're
here's
an
the
absolute
thing.
asshole.
Unfortunately, it works. It works.
It does work. So if
Well, at that level, a younger level, you've got real disparity between.
It works at the absolute senior level as well. So Dermot Connolly got sent off against Carlow for remonstrating with a linesman. He was remonstrating with the linesman because there were 5 or 6 Carlow lads hanging out of him and taking a go off him, and he's like, you have to protect me. But the referee's like, are the linesman, like, the implication is, it's a man's game, look after yourself. And he hasn't played an intercounty minute of football meaningfully. Okay, so sorry, the second half of last year's All-Ireland football final.
Meaningful.
Yeah, but didn't start. Best footballer in the country is effectively out of the game largely since because he's not being looked after.
And we're not condoning what he did.
And the Carlow lads, it works.
Yeah.
Like, it worked. And it's worked. You've seen some of the superstars of the game pick up 2 yellows in crappy Munster Championship games because there's lip to the point of, like, okay, I'm sorry, but you can't just keep saying this.
And he's the guy who's
variable
vilified,
stuff.
like.
What?
He's the guy. Connolly's vilified, you know. So
Yeah.
Connolly's now like not even living in Ireland. Like, do you know what I mean?
He's back now and he's going to be playing club football, and I hope he's back.
Can't be as simple as that, surely.
I'm telling
such
you.
an experienced player.
But it's the fallout afterwards. You become this kind of lightning rod for bullshit afterwards, and you've got to put up with that when actually this isn't your job. Like, I think that's the insidious nature of where these little bits of. So recently we saw a photograph of an intercounty footballer after a senior championship match. They haven't made it public, so we can't talk about who it is. But black and blue from being pinched by a range of his opponents.
He's an inter-county footballer.
Like senior championship match this year, late in the season, like a Super 8 match. So that's enough. That's wide enough. Black and blue. In a match where, like, it wasn't
in the Super 8s.
Yeah, it wasn't even close. Like, there's no reason for it. And anyway, it didn't have any impact on his performance. But I just think that, like, it will have an impact on players unless you decide. It's like the tackle from behind in football. Everyone's like, this is taking the manliness out of the game. But now there's no Marco van Basten's retiring in 26 anymore because they've got no ankles.
Yeah.
Now Messi and Ronaldo last deep into their 30s, continuing to entertain us and perform at the highest level because they're fit the whole way through. Because there's
that's a good example of
ankles.
setting those parameters and generally getting them right in terms of the tackle from behind, but at the same time trying to strike the balance between not losing that kind of physical element of the game, which we want to see as well.
Yeah,
so
I actually think
it's not easy to strike that balance.
Football's gone a bit too far.
Yeah,
but
exactly. It's never easy, but.
Just a final point on this, Jordan Murphy, and he got vilified last week for his games gone to PC comments after one of his players got sent off for a high tackle. He's rode back on those comments and he's basically apologised for them. In the heat of the moment, as a young head coach, no experience of that TV interview situation, I shut my mouth a little bit when I needed to sit back and absorb a few things. It might seem I was taking a head injury lightly, and that's not me in any way, nor is it as a club at Leicester. We're united, we want to be the best with head injuries. So I think he did get hammered for it, and I think when coaches come out and go, made a mistake,
absolutely,
you go, fair play.
Yeah.
And actually, it's a proper teaching moment. And now, he definitely goes up in my estimation anyway, because it's like, I do make mistakes. I'm a human being here. FAI and World Cup 2030 bid, not quite yet, but that's the headline on the back of the Herald this morning. Ireland looking at the prospect of co-hosting the tournament. We might get 2 games. I don't know. Is there a breakdown exactly? Of
Might even ask England to come on board with us. That's the word in the story.
Yeah, we've got some good gaffes. Time to pay up. Kilkenny hero Fennelly calls for cash boost. 8-time All-Ireland winner Michael Fennelly has called for senior intercounty managers to be paid. He believes players should receive a substantial government grant increase to ensure they stay amateur. It's a tricky situation here where you're trying to navigate, we get grants but we're amateur, because as soon as you get grants you're not amateur.
Yeah, the managers getting paid is probably the biggest elephant in the room in Gaelic games in a long time, and obviously everyone knows it goes on. I'm astounded by the money that club managers are getting as well, from just anecdotally. And the GA does need to confront this. You know, it's obviously nominally amateur for a long time at this stage. You want to be true to the amateur ethos, and you look at Joe Brawley, the way he writes. I wouldn't agree with Joe on everything he writes around him, but he does make valid points about like that amateurism is basically, you know, it's going from the game, and it's getting very elite, and there's a massive inequality in terms of what the guys for Dublin might be rewarded for, shall we say. And there was actually a guy in the West who was going to play League. He was playing League of Ireland, and he changed to Gaelic football in the last year or so, and it was
financial reasons.
Pretty well known in town that what the county board, the relevant county board, was offering him in terms of obviously not throwing money at him, but what it was offering him was basically like a very good offer,
as in a career.
Yeah, and it's like and a set of wheels.
Okay, right.
You know, and there are like.
There must be a huge amount of sympathy for players from the public generally on this point.
My
Nobody can begrudge.
But my problem with it is it's very
amateur. We're all proud of that.
It's massive inequality though. Like, so it's like the guys for Dublin versus the guys for Laois footballers. There's no. But
that will always be the case, Johnny, won't it? Once you go down that road, that'll always be the case.
But it's an amateur sport.
But once you accept the principle of, well, people are going to be paid, then you accept the fact that there's going to be disparity in terms of what people earn.
They're not being paid.
Nobody expects the principle of getting paid. That's the issue. That's where the...
No, but it looks as if very slowly we're heading down. But my point is, I don't think anybody would begrudge those players, the amount of commitment that
managers have been paid like for a long time. And it's just like...
one form or another,
It's not... So how does the GA...
But it's accepted. People accept
it. It is accepted. It is accepted.
Revolution on the streets. People accept it. They understand. They probably agree with it in some respects.
Yeah, like I don't personally have an issue with it, but it's like, why not just confront it at this stage? Yeah. Like, it's all hush hush for so many years now. It's like
it's come out. It'll come out eventually, won't it?
Yeah.
Players had nothing to do with Rochford exit. This is Andy Moran saying that they had nothing to do, no influence on the departure of Stephen Rochford as manager. And yesterday it emerged that a couple of different candidates have been confirmed to be in the running for the gig. James Horan is one of them, so it's going to be very interesting to see if Horan actually manages to get that job, because there's definitely unfinished business, and there's a good piece inside from Donncha Boyle. Horan must be alive to the perils of his Mayo second coming. It's difficult to go back somewhere.
Never go back, yeah.
But that's Jack O'Connor went back. Declan Bonner's gone back. He's doing really well at the moment with Donegal. JBM went back, beaten in an All-Ireland final after a replay by Clare, having won it once already in '99. John O'Mahony.
But if you think of it logically, it doesn't really stand up, never go back, because it's easy to make the argument that you go back.
It's more about relationships than management.
Yeah, it's a totally different environment that you're going back into.
I think also, there was just so much emotional involvement, and that Mayo team that he was part of had so much raw emotion. They're a different team now. They're older and they're a bit wiser, and he's a bit different. He'll have had a couple of years of sitting in the analyst booth watching everything going on. This is assuming that he gets it, but I'm delighted for him, because you kind of felt like there was unfinished business there. Yeah,
but you can also look at Rochford. Rochford's done a very good job there. But the Mayo job, because of the nature of the Super 8s, Mayo have an outstanding chance getting the Super 8s every year. So it's a very attractive job in many respects. How far are they off Dublin? You'd have to look at it this year and say they're probably a bit.
Yeah.
But they did blow it in Castlebar against Galway. That was basically the end of their championship.
It didn't help, yeah.
No, and that was, we're talking about Mayo. Mayo in discipline has cost them, between Vaughan getting sent off, and Mayo should have won the All-Ireland if Vaughan had held his cool against John Small that time, and O'Connor getting sent off against Galway basically won the game for Galway.
Yeah.
So there's a little bit there as well.
But that's plenty to work on,
Yeah.
And some of those young players definitely coming through. Men against boys, Pogba inspires United triumph. This is obviously an early edition of the Star. Young Boys 0, Manchester United 3, because the big story obviously last night was City. City are French fried. Man City 1, Lyon 2 was the full-time score in the game last night. We'll get into the nitty-gritty of the Champions League with Kenny in a little bit later on, and Horan name and Mayo hat there. Lambs 1, Lions 2, Lyon. I mean, if you say Lyon, it doesn't make any sense.
Yeah. Lose the French accent, you're right.
GA bosses need a wage. That's Mick Fenley. Always interesting stuff you can hear from Mick on Off the Ball tonight on the radio. 5 Alive for 2030 World Cup bid. Too many people involved in this. We'll get into this a little bit later on. But us, England,
it's 12 years.
Wales, Scotland, Northern Ireland. Can we really come together and...
Isle of Man.
Be friends. Wouldn't it be great if we could? Maybe we could get the Isle of Man. They give us the Isle of Man as like here. We'll give you the World Cup. You give us the Isle of Man.
It's a little bigger than Qatar.
And the North.
Yeah.
Give us the North.
We'll be united by then. Anyway.
Or Dublin.
Man against boys as Pog hits double. It's man against boys, of course, because young boys. Took me a second there. Lyon shock sloppy City. Silva strike fails to prevent Blues slipping to defeat. Is the back page on the Guardian.
Lots of empty seats as well, which was interesting at the game. It's strange with Man City fans. They haven't really embraced the
team.
That's one thing. But the Champions League Europe doesn't seem to just get their juices flowing as much.
This is a real worry for me. The result of Manchester City last night. If it was a Manchester City support, I'd be a little bit worried just in terms of their application. I was predominantly watching the Man United game last night. But in terms of the manner of the performance last night, just betrays maybe just a little bit of chink in terms of the mentality of some of those players. And going into a season where a month ago people were as good as handing them the title before the season had even begun.
I don't know about that, though, Kenny. I don't think this year there was with Liverpool. I think there's a big groundswell of opinion that
Liverpool could challenge, but predominantly
City they look fairly vulnerable much of the time, like against good opposition.
I think they're as strong as they have been at centre half.
They have the ball most of the time.
But I think generally the argument was prior to the season, Liverpool going to have a go. Maybe Liverpool were the ones to come out. Maybe put it up to him. But the general consensus was City will win anyway, comfortably by the end of the day. Whereas now, a month into the season, off the back of the start Liverpool have made to the season, and then factor in a performance like this from Manchester City, all of a sudden you're looking at it, a brilliant team as they are, you're thinking they can't afford too many days like this, particularly in the Premier League, because Liverpool are looking so strong at the moment. Liverpool are more than capable.
Liverpool are going to steamroll most teams this season.
Liverpool are the real deal. That's it. Liverpool are here now. Whereas the Liverpool 6 months ago, a year, you're saying, well, one or two areas of the pitch they need and not quite where they need to be to challenge. Liverpool are right there now. They're ready.
We'll get into a bit more detail on that in a couple of minutes' time. The front page of the Telegraph, Rugby World Cup, 1 year to go. It is officially the countdown to the Rugby World Cup. Can you take a year's build-up to the Rugby World Cup?
I know you're going to the race poster. I don't want to bring up gambling, but a mate of mine had backed Kew Gardens to win the Ledger months ago, right? And the race was on last Saturday.
Yeah.
And that was grand.
Had you also backed Kew Gardens?
I had, no. That's incidental to this story. But what subsequently transpired is more like something that would happen to me than my mate. But I met him that night, and he'd won like 5 figures on Kew Gardens, right? And he'd given 80% of it back. And one of the bets that let him down, I subsequently found out, was New Zealand to beat South Africa.
Oh my God.
25 to 1 on.
Oof.
25 to 1 on they were to beat South Africa. Now, I don't really follow rugby, but they let him down in a treble at 25 to 1 on. And it's like, has this opened up the possibility again of Ireland? We had Joe Schmidt, and obviously you didn't mention the war, namely the World Cup, but does this mean like that Ireland have a little chink of hope again?
New Zealand were beaten by South Africa. We're due to face South Africa in the quarterfinals. It also opens up the grand possibility of Ireland once again failing at the quarterfinal stage of the World Cup. That's what
we've got more than a chink.
By the way, you want to see the way he played Joe Schmidt. I was impressed. I have to say, he's famous for saying absolutely nothing. He opened up.
It was good.
He opened up. It was Johnny Murtagh as well.
Johnny Murtagh is a live wire.
He is
great. O'Brien eyes ARC bid for St Leger hero Kew Gardens. Hanlon winner tests positive for cobalt at Galway. We should just talk briefly about this. Trainer Shark Hanlon has been hit with an 18-month suspended sentence of his licence after his Galway Festival winner Camlin tested positive for elevated levels of cobalt. He said he's going to appeal it. He was fined $7,000 in order to pay costs of $2,000 on behalf of the IHRB, the Irish Horse Racing Regulatory Board. He's making the point that the reading was 117. You're supposed to be 100, but there's a margin of error of 14. So he's saying he's only 3 over when you factor that in. At the same time, it's in the system.
It's in the system, yeah. And there was a guy leaving the Racing Post last night, and we all went for dinner. And Richie Forstall was about an hour late because he had to deal with this story, so he wasn't best pleased. But this isn't good for racing, And there's another case mentioned there which involves arsenic being found in a horse. And I mean, I know arsenic from looking at FBI shows where it's a silent, basically, form of murder. It's often like a lot of supposedly natural deaths. I have to be honest, I have no idea what arsenic's in the horse. But Shark Hanlon, I mean, I think we can't talk too much about this because he's appealing, but I would question a second offence involving a suspended sentence when it comes to this.
How is cobalt administered to the horse? Do you mind me asking?
So over-the-counter. So he says, here it goes. I was administering 4 over-the-counter supplements, and I've noticed that 2 of those have since had the B12 removed. I presume B12 is another code name for cobalt. I'm not sure.
Yeah, like the cobalt is a big there's a different way of looking at cobalt in Australia, we'll say, compared to in Ireland. There was a famous case last year with the horse who ran in Cheltenham, and the trainer was done, I think, for 3 years. So the cobalt occurs naturally in a horse, but larger doses of it will have a positive effect in terms of performance and ability to take performance. But I will always defend, innocently proven guilty and all that. And Shark Hanlon Shark Hanlon's had a very poor year as well, a really poor year. So when a horse like Camlan winning at Galway was a big deal for him, and for this to come up, I do think this is quite damaging for his career. It's the front page of the Racing Post. Don't think he got into many of the other papers.
Yeah, there's definitely a few lines in them.
That's probably a sign of maybe that racing journalism in the papers has become a bit less and less over the years. It didn't come out mad late. It came out at like 7 or 8 o'clock, I think. But it's front of the Racing Post. And in fairness to the Turf Club, now the Irish Horse Racing Regulatory Body, they are putting a lot more effort into cases like this, and I think it's badly needed.
Yeah,
I do. I think they're probably only still scratching the surface in Ireland in terms of drugs and stuff like that. And if managerial payments and players getting reimbursed is the white elephant in the room in Gaelic games, drugs in racing is the white elephant in the room.
All right, we'll move on. We'll come back to that a little bit later on in the week. Now, Boxing Hall of Famer Ray Boom Boom Mancini was in studio during the week. We've heard him talk about some fairly serious things in his career in the past, but we also got an opportunity to talk to him about auditioning for Reservoir Dogs for Quentin Tarantino. Have a look.
Now, I came back at one reading, and when they call you back, they see something they like. I came back for a second reading. Wow. When they call me back for a third reading, now when they call you back for a third reading, they pretty much know, they know what they want. Yeah. So it's between you and somebody else, or it's a couple of actors. So I kicked ass on this, man. I mean, when there's plenty of auditions, I stunk the joint out, but this one I was right on. And Tarantino, I'll never forget, went, wow. He's like sitting there's a table like this in front, and I'm over there reading. He goes, wow, that was something, man. You were real great. You were right on. He said, but I can't give it to you. I said, what? He said, I can't give it to you. I said, what do you mean you can't give it to me? He said, because people will look at you and say, there's Boom Boom Mancini. We'll take them right out of the movie. So I can't give it to you. But you were terrific. I said, then why did you, and I said, then why did you have me come in here? He goes, well, I got to tell you, I wanted to meet you. He said, but I also was waiting for you to, to fall on your, to fail. But you didn't, And I come up to the table, I said, you had me come in here, and I got up to the table, and I'm doing this, and I'm yelling, I'm cussing him out, calling him every name, and everyone's like, oh, there's people, Mr. Mancini, and I'm cussing him out, I called him every name, and I said, come over and I'll bake you pea blood for a month. I'll punch your liver out, So I went through this whole monologue, and then I caught myself, because there's a room full of people, and the one thing about the entertainment business, they find that this guy's crazy. Yeah. Nobody wants to do it. Yeah. So I caught myself, and I said, and I turned around and I started walking away. And turned around and said, hey, how's that for acting? Oh, my God, But I wasn't acting. But I realized I had to catch myself. So that was the story, but yeah.
Would you have done a better job than Steve Buscemi?
I know Steve. We did a movie together.
All right.
Steve's a wonderful actor, a very good friend of mine. And before you said that, people said, Steve Buscemi, you couldn't do what he did. I said, no, don't get it twisted. I would have been as good. Oh, yeah, I'd have been as good. Different, but as good. Yeah. But we'd have done it differently. Yeah. And Steve was wonderful. But I would have been just as good, but in a different way.
I mean, Fabius must have argued with Tarantino, but I wouldn't have known that Ray Boom Boom Mancini was going to take you out of the movie.
What I could say,
Steve Buscemi is like, oh, that's Steve Buscemi. No?
Yeah, but there's so many instances of those over the years, people audition and never. You can't see him. You can't see anybody else in that particular role. But I could see him, Reservoir Dogs, just what I saw, how animated that he was, how he kind of projected himself.
Who would you like to play Kenny Cunningham?
It'd be some really bland and probably Tom Hanks.
Hanks disassociates
I'd like to think no, but it probably would be. It probably would be. Cillian Murphy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I'd settle for that.
Well, Cillian.
No.
More likely to play Kylian Mbappe, I think.
Got higher aspirations than that.
Right. Right, let's move on. We'll inject some seriousness to proceedings. Or not, we're talking about the Champions League. We're going to turn to the Champions League. Here's Graham Souness speaking on Virgin Media Sport last night after Manchester United hammered Young Boys 3-0. Paul Pogba scored 2 goals and had an assist too, but it wasn't enough to win over Souness.
No. Let me tell you why. I think Paul Pogba has fantastic ability that would be enough to make him a worldie. What I don't think he has, I don't think he's got the best attitude at times. I think his relationship with the manager at Man United, unless that changes dramatically, I don't think that'll help him get to where he wants to be and has the potential to be. I just see someone who allows. You've got to remember the opposition tonight. When you fire all those facts at me and stats, you've got to remember the opposition. You know, this is a team that wouldn't survive in our Premier League, may struggle to survive in the Championship, but they're playing in the Champions League because of the league they play in. My criticism of Paul Pogba is be consistent, show at times, you know, a real. If you're going to be a captain and a leader of a big club like that, you've got to be at it every single moment, from when you turn up in training to every single game you play. I don't see that from him. We were being critical here in the first half. Twice he was challenged and went to ground, and he's sitting there on the ground doing this, complaining he's been fouled when Young Boys are burning attacking his goal.
Yeah, okay, that is pretty interesting stuff from Souness last night. Obviously, Virgin Media Sport, the new home of European football in Ireland, more than 400 UEFA Champions League, Europa League and Nations League games live this season. Virgin Media Sport is exclusive to all Virgin Media TV customers, who can also download the TV Anywhere app and stream all of the action whenever and wherever they like. Is he being too harsh? Like, after a game like this, Pogba's beginning to hit his stride at Manchester United. Is there just a period where you are not great, you get better, and then you become great? Like, this is the evolution of Pogba we're seeing at the moment.
No, I don't think that's the case with Pogba, because you look back to his career at Juventus prior to joining Manchester United, he was shown that kind of consistency in terms of performance that Graham Souness is talking about, that bit of it kind of indiscipline and, you know, lack of concentration, all of these things. That was never evident at Juventus, and to be honest, you don't get away with that in Italian football, certainly not at Juventus. He worked under Allegri there, and I think the players he had around him, I think the kind of tactical setup, maybe the kind of professionalism, how they went about their business, that football club, he kind of bought into that, and that's when we actually saw Pogba at his very best. So for me, when he's come to Manchester United, he's almost taken a step back. The environment's totally different. Now, why is that? Graham Souness alluded to it there in terms of relationship with the manager, and I thought indirectly he possibly pointed the finger at Mourinho there in terms of the information the manager's given, their relationship, how he's actually handling the player might be a factor in terms of the level of performance that they're getting out of the player. And I think that that's correct. You could make that argument against Mourinho in relation to a number of the players at the football club. The tactical setup of the team at Manchester United since Pogba's been there, I don't think has helped the player either. Ger, if you remember, think back to the Etihad last season, United second half of that game, they absolutely ripped it up. Pogba was absolutely outstanding. His interview after the game, well, Paul, why can't you impact the game more as you did like second half? And again, he was a throwaway comment, well, when I'm given the freedom to get myself into advanced areas, when I'm asked to play a more disciplined role as a pairing. So this was Pogba putting it out there. Well, really, I need the tactical setup of the team for me isn't set up in a way which really gets the very best out of me, which is what we saw last night, and which really been evident for a while. Paul Pogba, for me, has got to play in a midfield three, in that V-shaped in midfield, left of a three, and it's how they set up last night with Matt sitting behind him playing 15 yards higher up the pitch, and really giving, not the freedom, but encouragement and actually information to go and get himself as high up the pitch as possible and impact the game in that last third of the pitch, which is when he's at his very best.
Matic is totally critical to how Pogba does, in my view, and Matic has to be playing well and basically being able to dictate in that part of the pitch where Pogba has that licence. I think Pogba has basically everything in an attacking midfielder. His strength on the ball, he's impossible to get the ball off, his range of passing.
Left foot, right foot, we saw last night, he can finish head of the ball.
The first goal, there's no backlift, it's just ping.
Absolutely.
I don't know, like,
but even the touch off his right, you know, just chops it back across. Well, he does that in centre midfield, you know what I mean? People are, oh, whoa, but it's not overly impacting the game. He plays another 10-yard pass after that, so what? The opposition team is still in a good defensive shape. He does that in the edge of the box and gets his shot off. It's in the back of the net.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm saying, maximum impact. Those
hang on, so okay, I heard the most ridiculous, I thought, yesterday before kick-off conspiracy theory from a Man United fan. It was like, Mourinho, he knows he can't win the league. He's only interested in the Champions League. This is complete bullshit. And then you see the team he picked last night, and like, hang on, he's got Martial and Rashford in the team. for an away match in Europe. Two players who he's not supposed to trust that much.
Yeah.
But like this, it was a must-win game because their group was really tough.
Yeah.
You've got to win the games against young boys if you're going to go through from the group. So he's putting his best team forward.
But he hasn't played that his best team since. For me, it was the biggest mistake. One of the biggest mistakes Mourinho's made bringing Sanchez to the football club, because it stunted the growth of Marcus Rashford playing that left of a three high up the pitch. I don't think he's helped the balance of the team. Sanchez is very indisciplined in terms of how he kind of roams around the pitch.
And how many minutes did he play last night? 0 minutes.
Yeah.
Sanchez on the bench.
So this is the template for me. That Manchester, before the game started last night, I looked at Manchester United team and thought, yeah, in terms of personnel and in terms of formation, how they set up for me, this is it. This is the template going forward for Manchester United. Stick to this. Stay loyal to these players predominantly. You could argue maybe Lingard, maybe to come in. But apart from that, for me, I was happy with that team, the personnel, the team shape. And there's not a lot wrong with that. There's not a huge chasm between that Manchester United team that took to the pitch last night and where Liverpool and Manchester City are at the moment. It really is. That was a physically powerful Manchester United team that went on the pitch last night.
Just not
technically good,
dynamic
energy.
enough, though,
That team was Rashford off the left, Lukaku, Martial, Pogba, Fred. There's dynamism there. Two full-backs.
You can't compare like Lukaku and Martial to the striking qualities that Liverpool.
But it depends what you mean by striking quality.
Like,
you're
in
talking
terms of
about energy. Yeah, absolutely. Look at the City team last night.
Lukaku
Where's the
near
dynamism?
the Liverpool team, like, in my view, he wouldn't get near that. Like,
but you're talking about an overview of a player there in terms of football ability, maybe game intelligence.
But like if you have a dynamic attacking unit like Man City have and Liverpool have, where like you're as a defensive unit, if you lose the ball, you're floundering, you're basically gone, and you're just hoping for the best. Man United don't have that. In my view,
they had it last night
against young boys.
Yeah, young boys, but they stick to that team, that front three in particular, and give the likes of Pogba and Neymar to Fred that freedom to go and join in. That block of 5 players, the qualities they have between them, with the help that you're getting down the flanks. Dalot was excellent last night, absolutely excellent. Luke Shaw's going to give you that. He always had that anyway. For me, that was a really kind of vibrant, high energy, dynamic Manchester United team. We went on the pitch. The balance was good. Matt is just sitting there, looked reasonably solid. The two centre halves. It wasn't perfect, don't get me wrong, but stick with it. Don't deviate away from that now going forward. Stick with that template between now and the end of the season, and you'll see Manchester United get better and better and improve.
Mourinho has to manage. Like Pogba, obviously, he's a complex enough personality, or at least he's a product of his age or whatever he is. But Mourinho has to manage that, and the book does stop Mourinho in terms of getting the best out of Pogba because he's outrageously talented.
What if he has finally decided that this is how my team is going to play, this is the formation I want, I understand everything now, everybody understands what I'm trying to do. Alexis Sanchez we can sell at Christmas, or we can keep as a reasonable impact sub to have.
You can't keep Sanchez as a reasonable impact sub. He won't accept that the player. You saw that at Arsenal.
He doesn't look happy.
Taken off, yeah.
Sell him.
So that's what I'm saying. He's a high maintenance player for me. It was a gamble they didn't have to take. They didn't need him. So for me, I would have got rid of him in the summer. I would have just sucked it up, get him.
You would have made a lot of money.
Decent money for him, because you're going to have the problem, like you're saying, he's got to play. If he doesn't play, he's not going to be happy. You don't want that personality around the dressing room. So they actually brought those problems onto themselves.
Or that, what I thought was a completely ridiculous conspiracy theory is true, and they are putting their eggs in the Champions League basket this season, and you play Alexis Sanchez in your FA Cup games and a load of league games, and he gets his 50 appearances this year and he gets 20 goals, and it's just like, when the big games are coming, the team that played last night is the team.
You can't accept that. Not Manchester United Football Club. You can't accept, we'll accept.
I mean, you don't tell them.
Top 4 in the league, and we're going to put all our eggs in the basket in the Champions League. That just ain't good enough. It's not acceptable at Manchester United Football Club. The resources they have available to them. And this squad is actually good enough. Squad is actually good enough to compete and to actually close that gap between themselves and Manchester City. I don't think they're quite there at the moment. But you look at Liverpool in terms of how the improvement there in the last kind of 12 months, 6 months, in terms of Klopp, he's instilled the system and he's stuck with it. He's drilled the players, and Liverpool are now at a point where everybody's totally at ease with the system, what's required of them.
Like James Milner is possibly the most important player this season. And if you have if you have a Liverpool team that functions like that, where Milner can do the job of basically knowing that I have a certain job to do, and then I have 5 players ahead of me that are just world class, and we're just going to win games.
Yeah, but it's not just. I take your point about being world class, but they all understand what's required of them.
Man United don't play like that a lot of the time. They don't play like they really know exactly what they're doing, and they don't play as if they've played together all their lives.
Yeah.
Like, and you could see, particularly against Spurs, they were like, it was very disjointed at times.
But how many times United flip-flop, change formation, back 3, 4-3-3, 4-2-2? That hasn't happened with Liverpool for the year. You know exactly. You ask how Liverpool going to play today. You know exactly how they're going
going to win all
play.
the games, and we will always function as a team.
But even the Man United team last night, I was just checking what the back four was. Smalling and Lindelof were back as the centre-back partnership, and you've got full-backs who aren't. Are they the first choice? Is that the first choice?
There will be. I think so. I'll tell you, that's a big statement off the back of what but that lot last night, really 19 years of age, looks to me the future. Luke Shaw's there already. Luke Shaw's got to play, always has been. Just Marino, for whatever reason, hasn't been able to tap into it. So you could argue that for me. For me, it's Smalling and another.
Regardless of who it is, my point is that we don't know yet, right? Mm-hmm. And so it'll be really interesting to see if this team is the same team that starts. Yeah. At the weekend.
Well, that's my point. Yeah. He's got to put this team on the pitch now for consecutive games of football.
You know, what was that after Spurs game? He's like, yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, and they were absolutely torn apart.
So forget about the back. I understand that's been an indifferent performance, picking the central defensive position. I understand why he's chops and changes there. He's searching for a partnership, but higher up the pitch, that midfield area and up front, the introduction of Fred tells you something. That he went and actually earmarked Fred to come in the summer for me to play that specific role, that specialised role that we see Milner, Henderson, Wijnaldum play. That those two number 8s, those two attacking midfielders that operate 10, 15 yards in front of that holding midfielder. Mm-hmm. That's why Fred was brought in, to play alongside Pogba a bit higher up the pitch. They haven't had that quality in the team. Herrera's not good enough to play that position. Fellaini's not good enough to play in that area of the pitch. McTominay showed a little bit of promise, but they almost needed a specialised number 8 to play with Pogba. Whether Fred's that player, we'll wait and see. There's some good early indications, and at least he's got to find out. He's got to stick it in. He's got to find out.
Yeah. So I think that was. I think that it was an unbelievably important game because of the context of the group, which maybe is less important now that you've.
You really think like?
I think that's a turning point. Yeah. I think that could be a turning point. Honestly, John.
Yeah.
There's been so many of those away games where they go and they scratch out a 0-all, or they can see a late goal and it's a 1-all, and you're like, this is a dead team. Like since Ferguson left, they've just been a dead team in these games.
Yeah, I'm just more worried about them against good opposition. This Man United team. That's what I'm like.
I'd love to see this team play 10 games together.
Just give them that starting 11
and go right. Okay, that's it. And I'm sorry, Alexis Sanchez, you're now free to find a club if they're willing to give us 25 to 50 million.
If you ever do end up being a manager, like, are you more worried about how you will be able to tactically assess opposition, or how you will manage individuals? Like, we'll say, how will I keep a harmony in the dressing room when I've like the likes of Pogba, will say, and Sanchez? Because if you lose that, I wonder, like, is there any coming back?
No, generally it's all about your dressing room, isn't it? In terms of the environment which you actually create. In terms of the player acquisition is absolutely key as well. Probably become even more important now to modern day managers, how you spend your money. And like I said, I'll be very critical of the Sanchez transfer. I think he was bought.
I think his personality,
not just his personality. I think that's part of it in terms of high maintenance. Those type of personalities that you're bringing into the football club. From a football, and for me, it's always generally speaking, football points dictate. And I just didn't think that they needed to bring him into the football club for the reasons that I said. I think they were making a statement. It was almost like a marquee sign in Manchester City. So much positivity in Manchester City. They were linked to Sanchez. It looked as if he was on his way to that. No, we've taken him. We're Manchester. We're as big as you. We can
it was
grab
a marketing
these players. You felt there was a little bit of that to it. Marino signed his contract.
That's true. It's kind of like.
But even the reveal and the whole he's playing the piano bullshit, like it was all a marketing thing at that stage because the club needed some. They weren't sure if they were going to be in the Champions League. There was a load of stuff going on.
And if you'd have told me at that time Manchester United bring the top class player in, if you'd have said what position in the United team do they not need to strengthen, just one position, I would have said probably left side. Rashford, Martial operating in that area of the pitch, absolutely outstanding young talent. The only position I would have said was certainly don't need a left-sided player to come in, and that's exactly what they did, bringing Sanchez in and almost knocking Rashford's development kind of sideways and unsettling the player.
An opportunity thief. Let's talk a little bit about the rest of last night's results before we get on to the Cristiano Ronaldo story. So Ronaldo might not be going back to Old Trafford as a Juventus player in the Champions League. It depends on what his suspension ends up with. Ajax beat AEK 3-0. Is it AEK? Is that how you say it? Or is it
AEK?
Is there?
I just go simple.
Is there not somebody? Or am I thinking of PAC? Anyway, Shakhtar Donetsk. Yeah,
I want to go to a game there in Thessalonica. The atmosphere just looks absolutely insane.
Any excuse to go to Greece would be great. Hoffenheim 2 all draw. Young Boys Bern 0, Man United 3, Benfica 0, Bayern Munich 2. A 2 all draw between Victoria.
Pilsen will go with.
Pilsen, yeah.
There's an L, isn't that?
Yeah, it's an L.
Should be an L there.
Yeah, that is Pilsen.
Tommy, that's sloppy.
2 all with Cesca. They're the other ones. Man City 1, Lyon 2, which we will talk about. Real Madrid hammered Roma 3-0, and Valencia 0, Juve 2 in Manchester United's group. So I think everybody's worried a little bit about Valencia. Juve have kind of gone with 10 men and squashed them. 2 penalties in that game.
Obviously the whole talking point will be Ronaldo, but like you say, that was a really impressive result. 10 men to go to Valencia and win.
We have a bunch of images here of Cristiano Ronaldo sending off. So this is obviously before the sending off.
He didn't get sent off for that, just sticking his chest out, and
no, so
didn't get sent off for that either.
Looking pretty, trying to curry favour, asking the gods, what have I done? What's wrong with my life? How did I end up playing with this crap team?
Not too bad.
He's on the ground, I know, but he's not scoring any goals. He's got 1 goal.
2 at the weekend. 2 at the weekend.
Ronaldo's getting older. People seem to think he's Benjamin Button. Like he's not young.
Here he is. Crying
the anguish.
After he gets sent off.
He didn't take it.
It's even better.
Kenny, what happened? What happened? How did
it was nothing. From what I saw, like I said, I was in here last night watching. There was an initial bit of contact with the Valencia defender. The Valencia defender went down, I think, looking for the free kick. Ronaldo was a little bit disgusted at the reaction from the Valencia defender. While he was on the ground, he went over. Now, I had an issue with Adrian. He said he physically manhandled him, grabbed him.
Show us on Johnny. They reenact it for us.
Yeah, because I didn't see it actually.
It was I saw it as a technical scrunch. I thought it as I'm sure if that word exists in the dictionary. Yeah, have you got product on your hair? Do you mind if I actually?
No.
Do you find that a bit invasive? If I actually put my hands on your.
You're a bit sensitive. I've gone for the Tony and Guy. I think.
You're a bit sensitive to people touching your face.
Lovely smell off it.
Yeah, are you okay with?
Any? Go ahead.
I saw it. This is a scrunch to me. That's a scrunch.
And that's not a red card.
Where they.
You know, scrunch.
You wouldn't get a red in a Gaelic club game for that now.
Scrunch. There's no scrunching going on in GAA pitches around Ireland at the moment, but that's how I saw it. Was literally that. It was as weak as that, and I'll be surprised if it's not rescinded. I've got to be honest with you.
Because he's Cristiano Ronaldo.
I think that's part of it. But in terms
of
the
laws of the game,
the laws of the game, I would say that's not a red card.
He tested his hair product.
They tend not to overturn because then it's killing the referees, right? You're like, it's a massive screw you to the referee if they overturn.
Then that's when I think the Cristiano Ronaldo factor comes in and maybe just leans in his favour. There's that rule where anything above the neck, isn't there? You know, you push somebody below it, it's a yellow card. You make contact with anybody above there. We've seen it before, haven't we? The Masterman famous one, like a little clip out, red card. You've made contact with his face, but I mean the top of the head, that's a totally different angle of attack, isn't it? Come from somebody from above.
There you go. Product placement, we could all do it. Tony and Guy.
It reminded me of a head massage I got recently during spa treatments.
Indian
I could
head.
never recommend something more. I've never been more at peace with the world. She knew what she was doing with the head massage. I literally, I'm not a great sleeper, and this would have she could have knocked me out like that.
Very good. Do you want to name the spa so you can go back for free the next time?
I'll consult them, but I'll get on the next show. This was the creme de la menthe as well, I would say.
Right.
5-star stuff.
Nice one. Wednesday night rugby last night. Keith Wood and Matty Williams were on talking about the scrum half succession stakes. Here they are chatting about John Cooney.
I can't think for any reason why not, actually. He's had a few travels to get where he's got to now. I think having the opportunity to goal kick and be as much of a clinch kicker as he is has helped him build his confidence. And he plays like a French scrum half. He doesn't play as our traditional scrum half. He plays like the Petit General. And I just think he's been playing well. I think he has a team who appreciates him heavily. And I wonder in many cases whether he could have got that run had it not been for the fact that Ruan Pienaar was got rid of, and that he had already had a period there at goal kicking 9, whether that would be the case or not. I think he's playing incredibly well. I do think that we have, it's been a while before we've been able to get a player to sit behind Conor Murray, and I do think we have 3 guys that go in there now, which is pretty cool, which we hadn't had before. So I don't know whether he's top of the tree yet, because for all the caveats we've put in relation to talking about Pro 14 in September, guys are finding their way, guys haven't played, the top guys haven't fully been back yet. It takes a couple of games for them to get back fully up to speed as well, just as the nature of it. You're not exactly comparing apples with apples.
At Keith Wood on Wednesday Night Rugby last night, which we stream live at between 5 and 6 of a Wednesday, and then you can hear it again on the radio at 8. The two lads have just been bonding here over what I couldn't hear because I was listening to Keith Wood.
And Kenny, your neighbours.
Next door to each other. Never knew.
Did you go to the same
Just
school?
the posh side of Dorset Street, I think, Darren, to be fair. Like.
Yeah, we were from the nice part of the tracks of Dorset Street. Good side of the canal.
It's east and west, is it?
No, I'm only kidding. No,
the closer you get to Drumcondra, the dodgier it gets.
I'll have to. What's your surname?
Cleary.
I'll ask me, man. The surname. Families used to.
They probably do bingo together, my man, your man, Ken.
I didn't know you were Dorset Street. I thought you were more kind of further out, more Whitehall.
Inner city boy. Straight urchin. Yeah.
Street football,
is sophisticated.
That's what you're
you know what I mean?
Do you know, Johnny McDonald made a good point there about he manages Belvaud underage. I don't know what, maybe under 14, under 15, under 13. He asked the players, how many of you have a football at home? Half of them didn't. And I thought it was a very good point. The days of, if I had a kid now and I wanted to play football, the first thing I would ensure is that he's kicking the ball off the wall, like you did, and you did probably in Dorset.
Yeah. We had those beat up leather balls that didn't have a bit of leather left on them.
Just leather those. That was fine.
Yeah, they were a bit dodgy.
Unless it was wet, and then you'd be concussed for a week.
But is it not mad that these are good footballers now? They don't have football home.
We had the basin there. The basin would have been at the back here. There, a bit of grass there. There was a playground there at the end of the basin as well. Yeah. So that was great. Like you literally ball under the arm, and even kind of Mountjoy. I remember heading up there. There's a nice grass area there, just along the side of the wall of Mountjoy, throwing the coats down.
You're getting nostalgic.
Plenty of games there.
You're getting nostalgic now. Yeah.
We'd play in Devilier Place until the grannies would report us and get us thrown out. They actually had to put up a sign that said no ball games here. Didn't work though.
No ball games of low standard, of the low standard.
The standard was terrible. I think we broke a few windows in the day, and you'd run away, but you knew you were going to get caught and all have to pay for the windows. And it wasn't on purpose. It was just the fact of we didn't really have a whole lot of places to play in the inner city, so you play with whatever patch you could find and as far away from a main road as possible.
That's great stuff.
Yeah, it's true. People are generally good though, neighbours, and now you'd come out, you'd get but people were good, like, you know what I mean? It wasn't a case they were going to throttle you. They understood, they enjoyed the kid, you know what I mean? It was a good energy around the place. They do a lot worse things. Yeah, exactly. You know what I mean? Yeah.
And they did. Darren, what's going on?
Well, the Manchester United fan in your life this morning, Ger, will be very happy. They began their Champions League campaign with a comfortable 3-0 victory over Swiss side Young Boys last night. Paul Pogba scored twice and was instrumental in the third goal. But the manager, Jose Mourinho, despite being pleased with the Frenchman's influence, says fans shouldn't expect to see similar every single week.
I don't think you can score goals every match. But the goal he scored today, the first goal, is not different than the fantastic save Foster had in the last match. So if he starts arriving in possible scoring positions, that can be a plus for the team. The team had good stability in midfield, allow him to go to this kind of positions, and I'm happy with the good solid performance of the team, more than any individual, the team. We knew that we need to win this match.
Jose is rescuing this. Against all odds, Jose is rescuing this, I think. I mean, I've written him off about a million times during his Manchester United tenure, and I'm also prone to massive overreactions to small sample sizes, but he's back, baby.
But he's saying that all the things there, he's indicating things we were talking about, saying good balance in the team, looked defensively solid. Pogba was in areas of the pitch.
All the stuff he was accused of not understanding. It's like fixed.
But it's taken a long time to arrive at this situation where, it's good to see Pogba around the box. He can finish. This lad can arrive and actually head the ball and score a few goals for us. Well,
I can't overreact to beating those guys, though, 3-0.
Yeah.
Oh, you won't let Johnny's just... I'm too excited, lad.
I just watch Man
United. Who's your team, John? Who's your team?
Galway United.
Hey. Go on.
Liverpool would be my English team.
Oh, I knew it. There was a little bit of an edge there. I wouldn't say it was a Man United attack, but it was a little bit of...
I'm perfectly impartial. I don't think any team would...
Can a Liverpool, a staunch Liverpool supporter, be perfectly impartial talking about Manchester United?
No, I'm not.
Is that possible?
He's a hipster Liverpool fan anymore. Yeah. I don't think any team with Lukaku as a spearhead is going to go especially far.
What else we got, Darren?
Man City paid the price for an error-strewn first half display, beaten 2-1 by Lyon in the Champions League. Elsewhere, goals from Gareth Bale, Isco and Mariano sealed a 3-0 win for Real Madrid against Roma. Cristiano Ronaldo was shown a red card for the first time in 154 Champions League games last night. He faces the prospect of missing out on a return to Old Trafford to face his former club after being sent off for Juventus against Valencia. Ronaldo adjudged to have pulled the hair of an opponent. With the official behind the goal, the man with the wand actually giving the offence, the German referee consulted with the official behind the goal before deciding that it was a red card. Here at home,
this is the big story. This is the one we wanted to get to.
Here at home, Bows have secured their spot in the FAI Cup semi-final. Pretty heroic victory to go to the Brandywell, get a 3-1 victory over Derry City. Dinny Corcoran in fine form once again. He netted a brace after Dan Casey opened the scoring for the Gypsies. That has set up a semi-final date with Cork City on Sunday week, in which Bows, given how bad Cork have been in recent weeks, might actually be considered favourites for.
I was just saying that, Darren, before, like, they beat them 4-2 at the weekend. Damien Delaney had, I can only assume, the worst game he'll ever have. And Bows will now, Cork are really, I think they're in free fall at the moment. And Bows, because, like, you know, you're on about, Ger, you were on about, like, what was it, like, marketing and all that about with Sanchez. Like, so Bows are everything that modern football really isn't. They've gotten involved in the community with the Mountjoy prison, with local kind of, I guess, social causes, and their players are paid a very, very modest wage because the club just can't afford it, and the Daily Mount redevelopment is going on. You go to watch Bows games now, and for much of the season they were struggling, yet the atmosphere was very, very good, and the amount of people, they sell craft beer in the bar.
The match night experience is brilliant.
Match night experience,
been poor.
I've been at a couple of games over the summer day in the evening, the good weather and stuff. And like you said, great energy in that main stand there.
And the lads on the pitch, they're young guys who are basically, they're earning a wage at best, and they're going up to Derry. Now they're taking on Cork with the prospect of getting to the Aviva Stadium to take on Dundalk, who are worlds apart from Bows in terms of resources. And I think Bows are, even though Bows are a pretty big club, they are the actual underdogs that people want to support now in this FAI Cup.
We'll come back to that in a minute. I know Darren is up against it.
Yeah, they're a surprisingly likeable Bows team. But the IRFU,
absolutely,
they won't be following in the footsteps of Man City after it emerged. They have declined an invitation to take part in an Access All Areas documentary. Murray Kinsella has the story on the 42.ie that the IRFU recently rejected a proposal from a production company for Schmidt's team to be the centre of an in-depth series. It's reported that the discussions never advanced past the informal stage. While Serie A manager has been handed a one-game ban for slagging off God, Atalanta boss Gianpiero Gasperini has been suspended from the dugout for this weekend's clash with AC Milan. The former Italy coach was caught on camera over the weekend mouthing "God is a pig" during a defeat earlier this week. In Italy, blaspheming is regarded as a serious offence, and the Italian FA treat all such cases very seriously.
Darren is God with a small G there. You're
Fair
fired. Like, you are fired.
God is blasphemy in Ireland. You can go to prison for it. We take it far more seriously than you do.
Sorry, what?
You can go to prison for blasphemy in Ireland.
Even now?
We just stuck it in our constitution about 5 years ago.
It's on the statute books, is it?
Yeah.
Wow.
I did not
know. So he's got off lightly, basically. He's got off lightly, is what you're saying.
Yeah. I think he's not League of Ireland manager. He's in big trouble.
You done?
I've got one more story, Ger. We brought this footage to you earlier today, but any excuse to play it again, and because Tommy needs the retweets. This is physio Jim Darcy flattening a cornerback who was running for a short kick out, but we've added some WWE commentary.
Not even flinching. He needed to do a celebration afterwards, like, rip the jersey.
With his water bottles high above his head.
Dara, great stuff, thanks for that. Here's Keith Andrews and Gary Breen on Virgil van Dijk. You can watch the Keith Andrews show on YouTube or get it wherever you get your pods. It's live every week across Off the Ball. Have a look.
It's basically, if Mbappe gets the ball on the halfway line and he's driving into space, it's 1v1 basically in the whole half of the pitch. Van Dijk ambles across as calm as you would like and just dictates exactly where Mbappe is going to go with the ball, the time. And if anyone hasn't seen it, please watch it, because we're going to chat a little bit about Spurs and Liverpool, but he, for me, is the absolute key, Van Dijk.
Oh, without a doubt. Listen, when you said that, I would have been more surprised. I know, like, Mbappe is lightning, but Van Dijk is a Rolls Royce of a centre-half, and I kept saying it all the time when Liverpool fans were saying, well, we haven't got a centre-half in. Jamie Redknapp was coming out and saying, well, why didn't you get someone like Sanchez from Ajax to fill the gap? And I was thinking, because he don't fit the way Liverpool play. He doesn't want to be in space. He's better in a back three at Spurs. That's why he's done well. Van Dijk and the way they play, he can be pulled out into fullback positions. It doesn't matter. He can cope. He can deal with the likes of Andy Carroll as a big, robust centre forward. He can deal with little guys like you just said there. He gives a calming authority. Massive difference to Liverpool. He's been the headline act, of course he is, but it's been a collective effort. Young Gomez is going to learn so much there. As a young centre-half, when you're playing with someone of that quality, your game goes on to a completely different level, and I expect his to do. And I think that Liverpool fans, as much as Jurgen Klopp wants to play it down and have a little bit of a smokescreen in terms of we're not quite there, they are there. They are the main challengers. They've got a fantastic team.
Yeah, the Van Dijk thing, there is footage going around of a tackle that Van Dijk made on Kylian Mbappe. It must have been in the international break in the Nations Cup. Not bad. Not a bad tackle.
A great tackle.
It's like...
don't need to get off the ground.
Something you'd see Bobby Moore doing.
Yeah, but when I first heard it, someone said, Van Dijk, he's as quick as Mbappe. There's a clip from the game you're referencing. You can see he matches him for pace, but actually he doesn't. He's
looking at the ball.
He's looking at the ball, but he gives himself a 3-yard start on Mbappe. You can see his body angle is right. He's actually ushering him down the line. Once he comes into contact with him, the right arm, the forearm comes across just to slow him down a little bit more, and then obviously makes the tackle. So in terms from a technical point of view, it's exactly what you want to see from the defender in terms of body shape, slowing the person down, making contact, and actually then blocking the shot. But what I'd say about Van Dijk, I'm a huge fan of Van Dijk, similar to what Brainy said there. I think the only thing he's got to be careful of is just almost that casualness in terms. I know how good I am. I know how good I'm playing. Yeah, I'm the best in the world. You better believe I'm the best. And a little bit of that casualness creeping into his play. I've seen it a couple of times this season. Just that little bit, just the way he carries himself in the pit, as opposed to that real 100% focus for every minute of the game. And it's not even a criticism, it's the only thing I'd say, because his partnership with Gomez, for me, the only early concern I had before this season was at centre half, because I felt if Lovren was going to play a whole season with Van Dijk, at some point during the season, Lovren was going to cost them. Individual mistakes were going to cost Liverpool, and possibly in the bigger games. So Gomez coming in, which is something I've been looking for the last year, I haven't seen it, coming in alongside Van Dijk and how well they've played together as a partnership, for me, that's made me mind. That's the final piece of the jigsaw for me in terms of Liverpool challenging now for
it's a key point, because in the majority of games they don't have to defend much at all, so it is concentration as well, that you just got to be ready, and not kind of stroll through games and expect that no, this is going to be fine because I'm Virgil van Dijk, because in most of Liverpool games they're just looking up the pitch they might have the ball, but they're not doing a lot of defending, and most of their games they're going to coast this year.
No, they will.
They're just very good.
But there's just nothing. There's just no weakness there. And that was the only area for me, that central defensive
don't want them to
position.
get injured. They don't want them to get injured.
But even then, you look at the strength of the squad. I don't even see it in terms of the squad strength now.
I don't trust Lovren at all now. I don't trust.
But that's what I'm saying.
Van Dijk, you don't want Van Dijk to get injured if you're a Liverpool fan.
No, absolutely. But I think the point that Gary Breen was making at the end there, even Lovren will look good alongside him because he's that good.
He's a Rolls Royce.
That thing about concentration, very few centre backs have a long period of their career where they're absolutely always at it. So you think Cannavaro and his absolute peak, there's probably... So he's always really good, but then there's this peak where he's World Footballer of the Year territory. That's like a 2-year sustained period. So this is Van Dijk's peak now, and he needs to make it count.
Yeah, but I think he's always had it. Even at Celtic, I saw that, just that kind of body language and how he's kind of carrying himself. That little bit of casualness can cost you at times. I think it's the only thing he's got to guard against. He's an absolutely world-class, top-class...
He's 27.
27 years of age, in his absolute prime. You're absolutely right.
You remember Cannavaro in those days when, in the Euros and the World Cup and all that, he made defending sexy, just watching how good he was to defend. And in the game is now all about pressing and
passing.
First touch and the amazing stuff we see that now we see every day of the week. But defending is still, you can watch a 0-0 and come away mesmerised. And I can anyway, or I certainly can. And that little clip from Van Dijk, I love watching that stuff.
But I loved it. But you sense with Van Dijk, because he's such an all-rounded player, he's so comfortable on the ball. He's a ball playing. He could be midfielder. His distribution's that good. A number of those 30-40 yard diagonal, he constantly fizzes across the pitch. The likes of Cannavaro was an out-and-out defender. He loved his defending, touch tight,
Nesta
tackle.
pass, I can't remember. Was Nesta
interception.
a ball player?
I don't remember
not
him passing the ball very much.
No, not particularly. The kind of Ayala, I think, who played for Valencia, Argentina, similar time, all about the defender.
Godin
They got the ball,
as well, like the Uruguayan lads.
get the ball, they keep it simple. Van Dijk's different. Van Dijk's like, give me the ball, I'll show you how good a ball player I am. And occasionally you think, I'll defend. Okay, I'll defend if I have to, but I'm not even defending really to get the ball to show you how good I am.
I remember Liverpool start with like one of the best ballers they have as their goalkeeper. Like, so that's where you're at with Liverpool, or at least he'd like to.
He definitely thinks he is. A couple of quick comments for you. OTB support of Diarmuid Connolly coming 18 months too late, lads. Don't recall too much understanding of his angle at the time of the Carlo game. #OTBAM. Don't know about that, Juan Jose. Pretty sure that immediately that happened, there was a sense that hang on a second, something has happened here. The stuff that happened afterwards when Jim Gavin was talking about his constitutional rights was all a bit like overblown. But pretty sure that we were saying at the time that like you need to look into this. Anyway, we're not going to relitigate that one. David Grant says Mayo to win in All-Ireland or Ireland to qualify for a World Cup. What happens first? #OTBAM. Just twisting the knife in two separate groups of supporters.
Ireland will be a lot stronger. Mayo are like 14-1, I think, to win the All-Ireland now. They're gone. There actually could be a bit of value in their price, like, because they're the only team who really consistently given Dublin a game.
Kerry.
Yeah, I would, but Kerry are a lot shorter, like. But like Kerry and Mayo have great chance reaching Super 8s. That's your bedrock for success. See where you go from there. Great chance getting to an Ireland semi-final. Like Dublin to win the next 7 or something like 12-1 or something like it's
to win 7 in a row. I think they're shorter odds than Mayo are to win next year's.
Yeah.
To win the next 7 from here, which would be doing
next 7.
11 in a row. I think you get about 50-1 in that.
Where are Ireland though? Like in terms of Ireland qualifying, not under this management anyway, I would have thought.
And you can't make a judgment on that until you see if we get a group with. If we get a lucky group.
You're seeding your pot, second pot seed and third are all factors in that, like you said.
We'd qualify automatically for a World Cup if we if we
show a couple of games, like
I mean, wouldn't we? We would.
Not like if they're
floated 64 team World Cup, right?
Just let everyone in.
We could host the World Cup
on our own.
We should have had the Rugby World. We should have the next Rugby World Cup. I think that's an absolute joke, a travesty. I really think so. I'm not at a push. We could host the Football World Cup. Get the GAA on board. John Horn, I can make a phone call, call his number. Ex-school teacher. I can smooth all that over. We can host the whole of it. Let's grab the whole lot.
I remember when France won there during the summer, and I was walking through town, and the French had taken over like our equivalent of the Champs-Élysées, O'Connell Street, right? But it was like there was a great, and there were loads of Croats out, and I was like, imagine if we had it, it'd be some crack. Like.
Yeah, I mean,
some crack.
So everybody's
Rugby World Cup. Apart from the fact it's going to generate more money's finances.
There's a debate about whether or not anybody actually. That's all. There's a strong chance that all of the reporting around how much economic activity happens around sports events is joke science.
Yeah,
like
really?
there's definitely
that doesn't even stand up in terms of an argument. Why it was given to France?
There's no legacy.
Well, it's despicable, like what's happening in Qatar, for example, and what happened in Brazil for the Olympics, where basically
and the World Cup.
Yeah, these countries do not need these, so you shouldn't. At best, you want to maybe do up a couple of stadiums, and they'll going forward you'll have them. But like Qatar is absolutely scandalous. Like, and it's football like to even. Like basically, countries should not be going to that World Cup because of the human rights abuses, but also just how utterly insane it is to have it there in the first place. Because this is a tiny country that will not sustain these facilities for any reason whatsoever.
The stadiums have been taken down from, I believe, and are actually being shipped around the world, potentially to countries who actually gave them the vote to be rebuilt in these particular countries. As I understand it,
it's all mental. Pogba's overrated, says the beautiful game.
He's not.
Depends how high you rate him.
Talent-wise, he's not. In terms of what he produces week to week, you could argue.
Some people don't rate him that highly, so
they're wrong. Like talent-wise, he's everything to me.
I think he's outstanding. Yeah. I think he's absolutely outstanding.
How would he have gotten on in that old Wimbledon team?
He'd have been able to look after
him. Just hitting him on the diag. We was just hitting him on the diag.
It was you, Chris Perry, who was left back.
Alan Kimball. Set piece delivery, amazing. Alan Kimball.
Right back.
Right back. Actually, Warren Barton was at the club. He was right back before I came. He went quickly to get a move to Newcastle, and I shimmied in there. I shimmied in at right back. Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why it was bought, because the right backs to that club traditionally
Always had great hair,
a bit of a swoop.
Yeah. I love those Panini stickers, though. I just you look cool.
I get sent them occasionally through the post. A letter arrives somewhere that finds its way to me. There's about half a dozen of those little. Yeah, to kind of sign and return. No postage.
We used to get a lot of posts. We used to get a lot of posts from Japan for John Giles photographs. Somebody would send us photographs from Japan and say, "Can you get Gilesy to sign these?"
Would he?
And Japanese post, they don't lick envelopes. It's like this kind of beautiful, ornate piece of paper that ties around two circles. We were like, look at this, it's amazing. This kind of from the far side of the world. Now this is obviously like 03, 04, when he just started with us. It's madness that anybody, because we weren't posting stuff on the internet. You know, there wasn't the News Talk website at the time, as it would have been, was like, so I don't know how the hell they. So we obviously ignored it and put them in.
They have a different.
I like your PayPal sale. I like your paper.
They have a different method of attaching the stamp in Japan.
What's that?
That's what I'm saying. They have. It's not like the old traditional.
Yeah.
Put the old saliva down and hope for the best.
Yeah. Is it like a stamp?
I don't know. That's what I'm. Yeah.
Okay, so what team will be able to pay Sanchez's wages? Well, PSG, anybody. Like all those teams are so rich at this stage.
It's not a case of who pays it. They get United weigh him in their end. He gets a cheque for 5-10 million to part, and he goes and signs for a reduced amount at another club. Invariably, that's how it works.
I wonder, did he not play him last night for a minute, because then he won't be cup tied? So he could actually still. You can now buy players from the Champions League, can't you?
I'm not sure, actually. That's an interesting call.
Kenny going overboard because Man United beat Young Boys, which is basically what Johnny's saying. Says Mikey D on YouTube. Bookworm says Kenny missed his breakfast this morning, which is actually true. Did you miss your breakfast?
I'm actually hoping to meet Kev's flying in from Switzerland, Chemical Ban. So I said, right, I'm going to meet you. I'm going to take you down the metro here, South William Street, because they do, in my opinion, the best breakfast.
It's like an ex-pro's kind of head.
You put me under pressure now. You put me under severe pressure.
I want a breakfast as well.
Two's company, three's a crowd now. You want to make it a four, Ger? I won't feel.
Tommy wants to.
Anyway, I didn't even say what was going on. They do a breakfast bap there, right? Spicy sausage, bacon, egg, floury bap. No, sausage, a little bit of spice in it. Yeah. Floury bap, pot of tea. Oof.
I like floury baps.
Oh,
you love it's Thunders you love with the
but not 10 in the morning. No, I don't think it's even open. Thunders.
Are you a Balf's man?
No, haven't been in there. Is that a recommendation?
We've been told it's the best breakfast in Dublin. Tommy says so.
Bap. I'm talking a bap. Bap. Just no messing. Just get me a bap on the table.
Would you go for the old fried egg thrown in there with a bit of ketchup?
Oh yeah, that's what I'm saying. Fried egg on top, bacon, the whole shebang.
Happy days.
This is off the back of a Bunsen's dinner yesterday. I've had a good day.
You went for Bunsen yesterday. The model Bunsen have, where basically it's on a tiny little card. They make your burgers. They've like 2 or 3 things in the menu.
That's it, yeah.
A little bit of beer, which is kind of a high profit margin. Very little wastage. You're in, you're out. Bob's your uncle.
No wastage. I'll tell you that when I go in there.
Bunsen burger.
But the quality of the beef,
nice little beef,
but the quality of the burger is, and there's chips. I don't want to go overboard on the chips. Little crispy.
It's very hard to tell product placement from just how mad we are on this show.
Value for money, burger and chips. I'm not a big meat eater. I love it now and again. Everybody isn't they? I really fancy a burger.
Yeah.
Value for money, Bunsen's burger and chips. I'm putting it out there.
Who knows if that's
can't be
beaten?
Placement.
It's not. Well, it's
no, it's not product placement. I give everybody
burgers in the country.
Yeah.
I think that there's nothing actually close.
I love the business card as the menu. I do like that. It's just very simple.
This is what we do.
If you don't like it, out the door.
We don't have to sell this.
Get you a meal.
There's no ringing ahead to book tables either. Knowing that many national anthems is impressive. What's the most obscure anthem Johnny knows? Asks Oisin Staines. Well, I mean, I think the Kurdish.
Probably Tibet. Tibet's my favourite national anthem. It's an unbelievably beautiful piece of kind of old Indian music, and because Tibet is a deeply oppressed region of the world, it adds kind of a lot of gravitas to the whole thing. But it's an astonishingly beautiful piece of music as well. Or Mauritania. It's very strange.
What's the Mauritania one?
It's the lyrics of the Mauritanian anthem are basically about like how you resolve disputes through Islam.
Mediation, a bit like the Mayo.
But it's a very, very weird anthem with a bizarre melody that never goes anywhere. Like Mauritania is a fairly odd country, but there would be Mauritania is northwest Africa, so it's basically the Sahara. 0.02% of it is arable land. So they basically all live in the capital, Nouakchott, by the coast, and be near Western Sahara, which is a disputed region.
Right.
But that'll be a fairly odd national anthem.
I'm lapping this up.
The Tibetan national anthem would be probably one obscure one, but my favourite.
I'll tell you the national anthem, which kind of hairs in the back of my neck. We played Israel once, or possibly I think Brian was in charge.
2-2.
Yeah, the Israeli national anthem. I wasn't expecting it because it wasn't like 60,000. It might have made 25,000 people. They're not the type of stadium you thought, this is going to be high energy, this is going to be intimidating. National anthem came on. It was, in terms of how the passion is down, that people sung it, just the energy, literally hairs in the back of my neck.
The lyrics
you're talking about in terms of debate, in terms of there's something behind it, in terms of what's coming out.
I was actually on holidays in Southeast Asia before, and as you meet people on your travels, and I met an Israeli soldier who was one of the nicest guys I've ever met, and I have deep misgivings about Israel as a state and all that, and what they do to the Palestinian people. But I gave him the national anthem, and he was actually overcome by emotion. And the words of that anthem are, "We have not given up hope to be a free people in our land, the land of Zion and Jerusalem." That's the end of their national anthem.
Right.
But they do get passionate about it, in fairness. With the history of Israel, you could see why they could. But if you go to even that part of the world and into the Middle East, when you get I'd say the crowd, the audience, like the atmosphere, it's so heated.
Yeah.
Must have surprised me. It was
Clinton Morrison 6-1 in after like 2 minutes. That was the 1-1 draw.
Was that the 1-1?
In Israel, wasn't it?
Yeah, they scored. I wish I brought that up. They scored
that was the game, and that was Brian Kerr's era, wasn't it?
Yeah.
The one thing, Brian Kerr is on record a lot about giving out about things at the moment, but I will always say Brian Kerr, we were far too defensive under him when we were ahead, and that game in Israel, they scored that goal because Shea Given couldn't see the ball because there were 10 Irish players at the edge of the box.
No, you're right.
And it was just so deep.
No, I take responsibility for that, and I'll tell you why. Because the area he struck the ball, again,
into the
corner.
Don't
want to go back. Well, no, the kind of no pressure on the ball. And it's this thing like you're, as a central defender, thinking safety in numbers, allowing people to come onto your toes, thinking, well, that we're safer because of this, and you're not. The more experience you get in football, you realise that actually the safer you are, the further you get your midfielders away from you. And what should have been happening there, me personally, should have been pushing our midfielders 10, 15 yards higher up the pitch, so there was earlier contact with that ball. That fella shouldn't even have got that shot off, went through somebody's legs into the corner of the net. But the point was, he shouldn't have had time to have a touch, get his head up and get the shot off. And it was for that reason, like you're talking about, myself predominantly as a centre half, not taking responsibility or making the decision to get people higher up the pitch, get away from you. You might be thinking I'm more exposed, but actually you're not. You're exposing yourself more the more you actually pull people around you. And it took a while for the penny to drop in that respect. Just about learning, I suppose.
This is 05, is it? Around then? It was, yeah.
Yeah, because they've done the same at home. They came to Dublin, then we were 2-0 up in the home game. And
that was due to a lack of keeper, was it?
Bloody hell. Did you take the conversation here, Ger?
Yeah,
Dublin game there.
That's Andy O'Brien, John O'Shea, and that's you, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you have 3 centre backs there. Was John O'Shea left back?
He was. He was a left back at that stage of his career too, really.
Yeah. That, in fairness, the Israel game at home, like Brian Kerr had a lot of kind of misfortune in that campaign, but the Israel game at home was
goalkeeper.
I was just absolutely disgusted. I don't think I've ever hated a player more than a Lat, I think.
A Wat.
Yeah.
Is that Andy O'Brien's last game or something? Sometime around then. Pretty sure O'Brien finishes up.
Yeah, Andy was a lovely player. I love playing alongside
Matty Holland,
Andy.
Keane and Duffer, we didn't have, and Shea Given, we didn't have bad players. Daniel MacDonald did a piece in the Indo, was it yesterday, about the Irish players who played Champions League since 2000, and Given, Andy O'Brien, Damien Duff, Roy Keane,
Shea Given.
Shea Given, don't happen anymore.
No.
Just doesn't happen
anymore. But even then, we players that were not on that list who were good enough could have played I'd throw in Ian Harsday did play Champions League with Leeds, Stephen Carr, Steve Finn, and players like this. Carsey in particular for me was absolutely, I don't know what it is at right back in terms of quality of players
dynamic
we produce. Stephen Carr was brilliant.
That one,
there's Killer and Alat.
Kev!
Yeah.
He's getting all aggressive.
Giving him a bit of the old Preston.
Yeah. I'd say he might have touched him there, and your man probably went down and rolled off, and Kev could have got sent off.
That was a disgusting game to watch. It was like,
what was that? The keeper, you mentioned the keeper. He was
absolute theatrics. Like,
oh right, yeah.
Oh, that
can't remember it. No, I just remember.
It's like one of the worst, most egregious cheating things that you've ever seen. Yeah, and then they score.
And the whole shebang, was it?
Like, Irish football would have changed a lot. Here's the caption: World Cup qualifier, Republic of Ireland versus Israel, 4/6/2005. So I don't know if that's 4th of June or the 6th of April. I presume it's 4th of June. Israeli goalkeeper Dudu Awate tries to convince referee Kairos Vasaris that he's injured.
Weak referee, was it? He actually looks half familiar.
Pretty weak, yeah. That campaign would have changed Irish football.
That was such a tight grip. It really fell for Brian, actually.
The Swiss as well, wasn't it?
Yeah, the Swiss, and then...
Swiss game at home was horrible to watch.
Yeah, but that was too late. The damage was done. Those two Israeli games, home and away, having the lead and losing the lead. And even the French game at home was a tight game. They beat us 1-0. Henri put it...
Your earphones out of that.
Excuse me. Henri put it... in the top comp, but there's very little between us in that particular occasion. Really tight group.
That was a
the top
goal.
14.
Brian was hard done by, though. He really was. Like, it wasn't. Well, like, you obviously worked under him, but we knew what we were about, at least, and Brian still has a lot to offer football.
The football was defensive. Like, you're here now, and there's no point.
I don't know what you mean by that.
You protected Leeds.
I mean exactly the point
we didn't protect Leeds.
Or tried to.
So the point.
I disagree, but you're saying that suggestion that there was a conscious decision, or was an instruction for the manager that if we get in the lead, lads, we're going to drop off and we're going to defend this lead.
Was it an Irish thing?
Of course it wasn't. No, it's a natural thing in any sphere of sport. In terms, it's a psychological thing. You get in front, particularly as the minutes start to, get closer to the end of the game. You take a step back. You look to defend. You come a little bit more cautious, stroke a little bit more defensive. Wherever you want to call. I think that's pretty much a natural thing, and you have to fight against that for the reasons that I've said. Because sometimes it's not by dropping back, by pulling people around you. You're not more defensive security. You're inviting more pressure on yourself, and the likelihood is somebody's going to make an individual mistake increases more in the wrong area of the pitch around your box that you don't want. So, yeah, but to suggest we were a defensive team is wrong. I'd have to put that to bed.
No, I wasn't saying we're defensive. I wasn't saying we're defensive. But I think we in games like that, we should be, with Roy Keane on the pitch, we should be just managing the game better. And then what worries me is, like, what is it, 13 years later, what's our football philosophy in this country, like, as a national team? Like, we seem to have actually regressed, if anything, like.
Yeah, well, those times I played under Mick and Brian, and really in terms of the structure, how we played was very similar. Pretty much we played kind of 4-4-2. Two banks of 4 and 2 up front, one off. You get Duffers played for a time behind. Robbie and stuff was Noel, whoever Clinton was up there, but that was basically, I think we had a set kind of pattern in terms of how we wanted to played with natural width, 2 wingers, the defensive, and we stuck with that even when Brian came aboard. Very little changed, so I think there was and we worked on it. Mick worked on it, we prepared, we were organised, we done our work on the training pitch. Brian was the same. Brian was very diligent, even in terms of the analysis room, which I loved. I lapped that up. A few of the lads would have been, fucking hell, not another video, like, Jesus, Brian, you know what I mean? But I thought actually Brian was spot on with it. I mean, nowadays it's just accepted as par for the course, like, you know what I mean? But that was good for me. The preparation was good. We understood what was expected of us, how we were going to play. We didn't win every game, of course, there was reasons why we didn't, but generally speaking, in terms of how we prepared, the understanding of the game plan, what we were looking to do in possession and out possession, was pretty clear. You were making the point about us at the moment.
You have the under-21s playing Germany there. What was it, like, last week?
6-0.
A hockey 6-0, like. And by all accounts, like, they knew very, very little about the opposition. But they're playing Germany, like.
Well, that's paramount. Well, that's
they're playing Germany. Like a team of by all accounts, they weren't particularly well coached in terms of who they were playing. And obviously,
you're throwing that out there. But the basic principle is right. What you're saying, you have to be prepared. And people say the modern game. Forget about the modern game. This was happening in my time, before my time. You've got to prepare. You've got to prepare in terms of how you play, and also with a view to how the opposition are going to play. You've got to show the opposition a bit of respect.
I don't know why players would resent Brian Kerr trying to
the player
resent or have misgivings.
That story happened. That was a story at the time, that he would send DVDs to players and they would go unwatched, or that the players would complain, this is more analysis. Paralysis by analysis was definitely a narrative that got out there.
Yeah. Well, everybody's different, I suppose, but I didn't find that. I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was over the top. I thought it was just about, it was spot on for me, because that was information I needed. Opposition players, forwards, potentially subs, even opposition subs. He's not going to play, but he might come off the bench. Who is he? I don't know who he is. We got any footage on him? Let's have a look. Just in case he comes on for the last 10 minutes. He's playing centre forward against me. I need to know, is this fella, I've seen the footage, he's predominantly left footed. He's got this little trick, a small little bit of detail, all that stuff really I wanted to know. That's the kind of things that we're talking about. These things matter. But I'm talking about the fun. I'm getting quite specific. I'm talking about the fundamentals in terms of how an opposition team plays. 3-5-2, 4-3-3. How high do they send the fullbacks? How are we going to counteract that? Where are we going to get pressure on the ball? All these things have to be spoken about, whether it's in the video analysis room or actually practically on the training pitch. It's got to be done. It's not even a debate, John.
It's sad how long Brian Kerr's out of the game.
It's insane.
It makes no sense. And I'm not talking about managing the international team, but like having no role at all in Irish football apart from punditry.
Yeah. Which I think is actually probably important in that it gives him now the platform to
better than nothing
to be an agent of change, where when he is talking about what's happening at the FAI and the lack of a footballing philosophy that is clearly identifiable throughout the game at all levels. People listen because it's Brian Kerr and he knows exactly what he's talking about.
And Noel O'Reilly departing as well, the way people spoke about him and the way they dovetailed with each other, maybe like Clough and Taylor back in the day, but they had a dynamic and he was a massive loss as well, it was tragic. But you have to spare looking at where are we going? Is it just like, let's qualify for the next major tournament because the FAI badly need the money and let's do this at all costs at the expense of developing some sort of football philosophy down the line where we get away from this fanciful and ridiculous notion that we're technically inferior.
Just ask one, I get that the national governing body is supposed to have some role in setting that policy, but is there another way of doing this? If that's not going to happen, can the football grassroots decide that we're a footballing nation, that we want to play with ball players and that we're trying to coach our kids in a certain way?
I think that has to be done, and I think it's
that not being done though, because you get the sense that we've had the various technical directors in at different stages over the years, all the way back to Coovermans to the current guy, and it's like they definitely want our footballers to have as many touches as possible.
It'll take time.
As many contact hours as possible with coaches.
Well, if you watch the 17s today now, right, I think the 17s are playing today, I'd say that they'll actually play lovely football. And they will pass the ball a lot more, we'll say, than the senior team. But it will take time. But I think in terms of setting an agenda, to set up our team under the auspices of Roy Keane, who is one of the best players we'll ever produce, and a world-class midfielder at any level who did not give the ball away. And to watch Roy Keane preside over what happened, we'll say, in Cardiff last November or whenever it was, it's very, very hard to look on that and say, as a kid, watching that, this is how you play football. It was absolute caveman stuff.
Yeah, look, there's a big discussion to be had there in terms of football philosophy, the type of football, supposed good football, which we want to see. I mean, your opinion, what good football is, in my opinion, might be, wholly different. I think it probably would be. I don't particularly buy into this kind of possession-based game, get as many touches on the ball as possible. That might be relevant at a very young age, 8, 9, 10, 12. You're developing young players, they're kind of technical ability, many touches on the ball, great. But for me, once you get into an age 15, 17, 19, then it's all about the game. You've got to learn the game there, you've got to understand the game. And from an Irish perspective, organising our teams in a way where we can be competitive going forward at those levels, 17, 19, 21, and particularly at senior international level.
But then you're talking about our own style. You're saying we have to develop a style so that we're competitive at 17, 19. That you're telling them players you are technically inferior to other teams.
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying play a style of football which best suits the strengths of our players.
So what are our strengths? So is it still that we're just we're British, we're big and strong, and we get about players, but technically we're inferior? Why are we technically
I don't think
inferior?
that, but I don't think necessarily we are overly technical. Now, do we play that football at the technical level or other sides? Not, maybe not, but I think we've got other attributes to our game which we need to tap into as well and maximise them and play a more of a maybe a high energy, more a direct style. You say, direct football. Whoa. That's the Neanderthal stuff. We're not going back to that. But why not? Some of the most successful club teams of the last 10 years have played a reasonably direct style of play. Atletico Madrid is probably the best example of that. Look how successful they've been. Look at the type of quality players, individual players they have playing. But the type of football that they play isn't necessarily possession-based football, almost a percentage type football at times. But they've been hugely successful playing that way. So for me, I don't buy into that. A little bit uneasy, possession-based, technical touches on the ball. Let's play a brand of football that we're actually good at, we enjoy, right and can be successful for us.
We were at home to Georgia not that long ago, and we were played off the park in terms of technical football. I'm like, Georgia, and I'm not putting Georgia down, but like, surely to God, I hate this notion that because we're Irish, we're automatically technically inferior. Dundalk went to Europe 2 years ago, and they didn't look technically inferior for a club that had no budget. So I'm like, it's not
a case of being technically inferior. I'd like to see good football, but I'd like to see good football played in the right area of the pitch, 30 yards from the opposition goal. I want to see lots of good technique there, good combination play, 1-2s, good quality cross into the box from wide area. Callum O'Dowd.
Absolutely.
That's good football.
Absolutely.
That's great technique.
Quick Atletico Madrid question. Could we develop a player like Griezmann who could play in our system? We'd all be delighted. But at the moment...
No, but we can play a system that Atletico play, predominantly a 4-4-2 system, not particularly a possession-based system, even leaning towards a counter-attacking style of football and still be very, very successful.
But is the architecture in place to develop a Griezmann? That's the question. Ultimately, you're arguing here about what the senior team style should be and what's going to be most successful at senior level. But
Atletico's success doesn't stand or fall on whether Antoine Griezmann stays in the Atletico Madrid team or not. That's my point.
No, but they'll replace him with a player of equal standing. So they've had world-class strikers at Atletico Madrid all the way back to Fernando Torres coming through as a kid. We don't at the moment create the architecture to bring those players through and give them the opportunity to play in a team.
Another thing which isn't discussed, and this is very, very brief, our players probably suffer because they play in England, a lot of them. If we have nice technical players like Sean Williams, who looked very good against Poland for much of the game, he'd be probably better off playing somewhere in Europe, right? On the even Ryan Manning, like our star under 21 player, I've seen him from Galway United, technically, like outrageously, but he's playing at Rotherham at the moment. So you're like, does that Patrick McElhinney, outstanding in Europe for Dundalk, he went to Oldham, played in a 4-4-2, he's back at Dundalk now. Yeah. So you're like, our dependence on the old Imperial basically our dependence on England probably doesn't do us favours in terms of our technical players, in my view.
Maybe Brexit will be good for Irish football in the long run.
Maybe it will.
One quick point about the World Cup bid. The FAI joining a bid for the 2030 World Cup definitely opens up the possibility of the current board hanging in there for another 12 years. Be careful what you wish for, says...
in their 90s.
Says Dan McDonald. I know a lot of people are going, oh God, don't start this whole process again. I'm like, come on, all we're committing to here is a feasibility study. That's grand. And also, the FA have a lot of power in world football, so if they want us to tag along to get some votes for them and we get a couple of games, it's not the worst thing that's ever happened in Irish football. A lot more worse stuff is happening.
I think it's a good story. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I realise it's a diversion from some other important stuff.
I'm still just getting over how lively Kenny Cunningham is at 7:30 in the morning and how buzzing you are like so early on in the day.
OTB AM is live.
In an hour and I get that breakfast back.
OTB AM is live with Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a choice of over 20,000 quality trade products. There's two final things I want to talk to you about. Space Jam 2 is on its way. A Space Jam fan? I didn't know.
I have no idea what that is.
Is that the old Star Wars?
No. So Space Jam was the Michael Jordan up against... I haven't seen it either.
They're all wrong. Spaceballs I'm thinking of.
This is an Owen Sheehan special where like he was literally the most excited he's been since David Clifford scored against Monaghan. But yesterday they released this picture. So it's Bugs Bunny, LeBron James. The director is going to be the director's Ryan Coogler. So, no, hang on. The director's not Ryan Coogler. Coogler is the producer, but I think the director is the guy who made Creed. So, Terrence Nance is his name, and there's the official Space Jam poster. So, Space Jam 2. Michael Jordan had to play basketball against intergalactic raiders to save the Earth.
Sounds a bit weird, that.
I mean,
I'm thinking of Spaceballs, I'm sure I am.
Yeah. We're going to do a full special.
The takeoff of Star Wars,
I'm thoroughly lost here.
It's a cartoon for the kids.
Yeah.
But if you haven't seen the first one, you're not going to care about the second one. So it's for everyone, apparently. I'm being told. I'm being abused in my ear here to the point where I can't actually speak anymore. John Breslin on Twitter says, I love that Johnny said creme de la menthe instead of creme de la creme. Hashtag OTBAM. Hashtag alcoholic heartburn remedy. It was, of course, a pop culture reference that seemed to have sailed over the head of John Breslin there.
Yeah, no, I know John Breslin actually. So it's a Del Boy, one of his many bad pronunciations of some sort of French.
Good to be back on terracotta. Suzanne Eade says, looking forward to hearing the views in the weekend racing. We haven't had a chance to do that. We'll do that on Friday night.
Yeah, we'll have Sean Flanagan in, a guy who's has a nice career from himself, who went to the States, looked like his career was all going nowhere, and he's come back and he's main jockey for Noel Meade, and he's absolutely flying it. Okay, that sounds good. And then one last thing here is 2 Chelsea FC fans have been injured in an attack by suspected rival fans ahead of their clash with PAOK Thessalonica. So that's Sky Sports News breaking that, and it doesn't look good. So that's not great. You kind of hoped that at some point all of that would disappear from the game. People would go,
oh, I really hate that.
And just have cracking.
Those fans are PAOK fans are pretty out there.
So I said it was a good old solid 7.5 out of 10. I'd like to give this a good solid 9 out of 10. I thought that was a good shot.
If you finish with the Greek national anthem, it could even make 10. Could even make 10.
Jeez.
A few references to Greek football teams now. The last.
I'm actually freezing here, and it's
I will say, no, the House of Cards is falling down, Ger. Can you believe it?
The national anthem and the Cypriot national anthem is the same melody, just like the
Brittany
and the Welsh one. I've actually forgotten it.
Cool.
I never get Greek taxi drivers.
You're in next week, so we'll get an opportunity.
Do a Greek dance. Do something. Do a Greek dance. Do something.
I really want to go for breakfast now, but I've been snubbed.
I think you might be able to wangle an invite. Gents, thanks very much. That was great. We will be back tomorrow morning at 7:45. It's Thursday night, which means Thursday Night Football with John Giles. There'll also be a good bit more rugby and plenty more on the football show with Nathan on the radio from News Talk this evening from 7 o'clock. Until tomorrow, good luck.
OTB.
Thanks to Screwfix.ie, championing the trade with a dedicated